What's up, YouTube? What's up, Gen X? This is gonna be part two to the logical aptitude series. I'm gonna do a follow up on the routers, firewall, and storage devices. So I previously left off with um, the topology for the network. So now we need to find a specific firewall for this application. The firewall of choice would be the Buffalo series, uh, Infinity Wireless N router, and access point. The reason why I chose this product or this device is because the device doubles as a firewall and access point and router. So with this device, you can buy two. If you live in a multi-tiered home or complex, you can buy two, and you can have a router at your bottom half of your location or the upper half, and you can also use the second device as an access point. Now there's a little switch on the bottom of the Buffalo device that allows you to differentiate between the router or an access point. So if you switch it to AP, which would be an access point, you can turn it into a second access point for wireless connectivity in another broader location. So um, the firewall within it is just as robust as anything else you're going to find in the market by Linksys or Cisco for the home user. You also have to factor in that your Windows 7, Windows Vista, Windows XP firewall um, it also comes into play, and you also have the physical firewall on the router itself. So you might want to configure your Windows 7 firewall to respect of the Buffalo device firewall. Um, when you purchase the device, you'll see that maybe the software might be different than what I'm looking at, but you can configure the ports and so forth on your Windows 7, Windows Vista, Windows XP firewall, just as you could with the physical firewall itself. So the Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows Vista firewall is a software base versus what you're dealing with on the Buffalo device, which is hardware. But they do have similar um, functionality. So I'm going to put the link in the corner for this device. I don't know, maybe you might not have it in your location, but you can probably find it on buy.com. Let me see. Now, I mentioned before the antivirus for your desktop. I mentioned Viper, which is Vipre. There's a trial version. You can download it for 30 days or 45 days. I got mine for free from GFI. Um, they gave me a subscription to it because I'm a beta tester. Um, it's probably the most robust product available. Some people, like I said before in the other video, they like McAfee, Norton's. Uh, I don't recommend those two because they're clumsy in design. They're not as robust. They're very clumsy in terms of picking up newly discovered or newly designed malware. Um, I'm not saying that Viper is perfect, but it's a lot more intrusive. It has a better design than the McAfee and Norton's. Less CPU usage, less memory usage. It's more low level in terms of usage as in comparison to the other two products mentioned. I'm going to put a link in the corner for that as well. Um, Personally, you can find um, licenses because that's what you need in order to make the antiviruses work. You need a license or seat to get the functionality out of them. So those also come with and that's another thing. The other security software may come with its own firewall protection, which is something that you need to be careful about, because if you have too many firewalls running, or you try to run multiple firewalls, you may end up with some issues where there's conflict, and you may invite unwanted guests in. So be careful on what type of security software you purchase, because sometimes they come with their own firewall and they don't necessarily play well together. So I'm going to put the Viper link in the corner. Sunbelt Software used to be the name, but it's now GFI. So you can purchase licenses on eBay. I think they're about maybe $16 for like maybe two PCs, two licenses, or three licenses for $30. I think, in my personal opinion, it's cheaper to go with three licenses. You get to Most people nowadays own a desktop and a laptop, and now they're starting to support tablets now as well. So if you own an iPad or a Motorola Zoom, with an Android device, they're starting to make security software for that as well. So you can take your licenses with you into the next platform. So that works out just fine there. I'm going to also move forward with this with the storage device recommendation. I buy some of my hardware online from buy.com. They tend to have a very wide array of PC products, IT products. Some people use Newegg. You're not always going to get the best price there. They just have, I guess, just as broad a selection. People are accustomed to shopping there. But they just put up a sale for Zyxel network attached storage. Now, in my other video, I previously mentioned Windows Home Server, but that support is coming to an end. Microsoft is starting to support it less. They've updated as much as possible, and that's just about where it is right now. Now, it's not to say that it's not a robust platform. It is, but the network attached storage device from Zyxel or Buffalo is more low level and more simplistic. So there's less interaction involved. So it's kind of a set it and forget it type of device, and it's smaller. This is a 2-bay device that I'm going to post in the corner from Zyxel. It's called the NSA 221 2-bay network attached storage server. It's a NAS product, so it's file based. It has two bays for 3.5 drives. So essentially, you can put a 3 terabyte drives in there to create a redundancy array. So you run essentially RAID 1. Some people try to run RAID 0. I don't see why you would put your drives in striping mode, or try to stripe your array, because you're looking for redundancy. You're not going to get redundancy with RAID 0. You'll lose your data at some point if you don't have it backed up some other way. Your connectivity will be more of a hindrance than your disk performance. So you can have the fastest disk out there, but if you don't have your connectivity up to par, you just have a 100 megabit network and you're trying to push, a gig of bandwidth through it, then essentially, you're going to have some bottlenecks involved. So that's just the nature of it. So trying to speed up your disk through RAID 1, it's not really necessary. So I'm going to put the link in the corner for that as well from buy.com. They had it on sale. Free shipping, $89. You really can't beat it. It turns itself into a media server as well, so you can play your your BitTorrents and things like that from it. Okay. The other, I guess, additionally, you should be looking at hard drives as well, because you're going to need hard drives. It's just an empty box without the physical disk in it. So right now, I don't know where some of you guys live, but Micro Center here, which is a nationwide store, but in only certain locations, has the Samsung SpinPoint F3 1 terabyte 72 RPM SATA based disk available for $39.99. Um, you can find similar deals probably somewhere else, but here, I mean, that's a bare drive, and you can get it for $40, which is pretty good. Because if you go back a year ago, you probably find a 320 gig hard drive for $39. You were lucky to find that. So that's always good to find. So you add that to your storage array, which is the Zyxo network attached storage box. In terms of your connectivity, you're always gonna I mean, you should always think ahead. So a Cat 5e cable, which is a gigabit cable, that should be considered. Nothing less should be considered. Getting Cat 5 now wouldn't even make sense. Go with E based cable, so you can have future support. It's a lot more. There's a lot of devices coming out that support gigabit Ethernet and things like that. Once you connect the NAS box to the network, you should be able to log into the gateway of it. So what you need to do essentially is look at the manual, and it should tell you the address location for it. So it should be something like 192.168.10.1, which would be the gateway for it. And you can log in and make your configurations there. So you can essentially start your backup process as soon as it hits the network. Now, with your Windows 7, Windows XP, Windows Vista desktop or laptop, you could create drive sharing that way too. So you'll right click a place on your desktop or within your My Documents, make a new folder, call it what you want to call it, right click it, and then you should be able to create drive sharing that way. And the drive sharing, you'll point the share address to the local NAS appliance that you just set up, the Zyxo or the Buffalo Tech appliance, and that folder will be backed up to the NAS appliance. Now, if you're working with tax documents and things like that, important documents, that's where it should be stored at. It shouldn't be stored on your desktop at all. That's the whole point of buying the NAS appliance. A lot of people try to store their data on their laptop and they drop it or they spill coffee on it, whatever the catastrophe is, and they lose all their data and they don't know how to get it back. Now, some places, at least locally where I live, where I reside, is they sell services such as data recovery, and they pay or they charge $500 per gig. Now, if you got an 80 gig, 100 gig, 200 gig drive, and you just lost about 100 gigs of data, yeah, you're gonna pay a lot. So it makes sense to back up your data elsewhere so that you're not caught in this predicament. In terms of this total little setup right here, this is just the home setup. This isn't the business setup, but it's definitely something that needs to be looked into if you're going to be starting a SO, a small office, home office type of deal. It should be nothing less. Again, the NAS appliance, it probably has its own encryption too. I haven't looked into it because I just seen it recently. This device particularly. You can encrypt your own data too as well with TrueCrypt. You can download it. That's free. The permissions within Windows. If you set the permissions to what you should do is encrypt the folder so that everything that goes inside the folder will be encrypted. Because if you try to encrypt the file, what happens is it doesn't inherit the permissions once it goes into another folder. So you can't open it, you can't read it. It's not going to work. So encrypting the folder and then putting the content within the folder will secure it better. And then it'll eventually be backed up to the NAS appliance. in terms of the rest of the setup, I think I'll do a part three to the laser printer suggestions as well, because I know that's been brought up before. Laser printers, and what's the best device to be picking up? So LaserJet versus inkjet for your small home and office business. So this is just part two to logical aptitude. Peace.